Anna, Brett, Juan, others, everyone. Welcome, Michael, Samantha, Sophie. Great. So thank you for joining us today. You've joined the info webinar about the Clean, Equitable Energy Development Online Certificate Program. We're really happy to have you here. I am Coral Bilecki. I work at the Yale Center for Business and the Environment. I'm the director of online programs. So I've been working away with a very powerful team of folks trying to build this online program. And joining us today is Michael Glockter from the Yale Center for Environmental Justice. Michael, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Michael Glopter. I'm the director of I'm I'm the first director of the Yale Center for Environmental Justice. We're partnered with CEED in making this certificate program. I've been working on climate change since the mid 80s, climate change and clean energy since the mid 80s, and environmental justice since the mid 80s. And excited this program is a cool way to bring those things together for me.
Yeah, so and then we also have Claudia here. You may not see, her camera may be off, but she's here helping us. She is, there we go. Claudia, why don't you introduce yourself? It's great for people to know who you are.
For sure. Hi, everyone. This is Claudia Choa. I'm working at CEED at the Center for Business and the Environment. And I'm alumni from the Yale School of Environment, very enthusiastic about sharing more about clean energy development, energy justice. And as Coral and Michael mentioned, like we are running this beautiful, amazing program for you. And we're very happy that you want to know more about it, and that in this next 45, 50 minutes, you are going to be amazed by everything that we need to share with you.
Wonderful. So as you'll see, we do have the chat function enabled. So please go ahead, introduce yourself. And you can also, if you have questions as we go along, you can throw your questions into the chat, and we will hopefully get to all of them by the end of the show. And Claudia, could you advance the slide for us, and then we'll get started. So this will be our run of the show for today. We're in our welcome portion of the meeting, and then Michael will speak to you about just kind of what inspired us to develop the CEED program, why we think it's so important. And then we'll share with you some opportunities to connect with us and give you a sense of what's going on at Yale campus in clean energy and environmental justice. And then I'll take it a little deeper and dive into the curriculum of this CEED program, give you some sense of what that looks like in practice, like what the commitment would be to the program, what you can expect. And then we'll wrap it up with some key dates and certainly open up the floor for questions. So maybe with that, Michael, you can do us the favor and kind of introducing the project of CEED.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I I have I'd love to throw in here just kind of a couple, just to sort of highlight the importance of it. But basically, so I'm also a lecturer at the School of Environment, and taught the class on energy this spring semester as well. And you know, CBay has been a pioneer in online education for developing and financing clean energy for the last few years. And about 2 years ago, I guess, as part of their broader commitment to equity and justice, started developing this course, and we've been contributing to it since I joined the Yale team about a year ago. Um, you know, and then along the way, a couple of other big things happened, which is the passage of massive amounts of infrastructure investment by the US federal government, most particularly the Inflation Reduction Act, but also the Build Back Better bill and the CHIPS Act together put $2 trillion of investment over the next decade into the U.S. economy. A lot of it aimed at clean energy. On the international level, increasing amounts of agreement about and need for loss and damages funding to flow to the global south and to disadvantaged communities there as well. So we're sort of in the middle of this incredible, we're in the middle, obviously, of a planetary crisis with climate change, and also an incredible moment of opportunity and growth in clean energy efficiency, resilience in particular. Um, and and we decided as a team to focus on building a certificate program to help people join the field and make a contribution. We're distinguished in some sense by, so it's critical because really there's a huge energy transition underway, trillions of dollars being spent all over the world and in the United States in particular. And we have to be sure those dollars land and have impact where they're most needed. And that's in general in disadvantaged communities, which are going to have a harder time making the transition to cleaner vehicles, to cleaner housing, to cleaner fuels, et cetera. And yet, but there's also a lot of money and innovation and support for that. CEED is one of the things I've found in talking to people in the field is there's already a nascent field around workforce development in clean energy for people who are going to do solar installations or energy efficiency installations. This course is really for people who are thinking about developing energy projects, people sort of one level up who might be facilities managers or project developers already, but are interested in serving underserved communities, low-income communities, BIPOC communities, communities in the global south. And what are the specific content needs and contexts for those professionals? And also what's the upskilling needed if you're a facilities manager at a low-income housing project or a community health clinic or a school or a sustainability manager for a school district? This course, this certificate is meant to get you up the curve to understand the kind of options, technologies, context that you need to be effectively bring clean energy into your sphere, so to speak. So the program is really critical because we just need a lot of people. There's a lot of money and a lot of need to be creative and innovative. And then frankly, there's a lot of off-the-shelf stuff that people need to learn, like solar panels or batteries. And I say off the shelf, I'm smiling a little bit. We're almost at that point with both of those things. But you know, it's pretty close. So can you know what's on the shelf? Can you know how to finance it? Can you know where it fits? Can you know how good your roof has to be? What it means to talk to your utility about putting it on the grid? Things like that. That's the kind of stuff that this course is meant to get at. We start with a background in environmental justice and move into energy justice so that people can understand and innovate off of the deeper context. Why is this a problem to begin with? Low-income families have a huge energy burden. In Maine, for example, up to 16 to 19% of a low-income family's budget is spent on energy. That's much smaller than a middle-income or upper middle-income families that may spend more, 5 or 6% of their budgets on energy. So there's context around communities, the challenges they face in the clean energy era, and we try to make sure you're grounded in that so that when you start learning the technicalities of development, which is particularly for communities like this, still a developing field, and in general, a developing field, you can bring the deeper knowledge of what some of the problems are to the solution space and think about how lack of income affects the ability to deploy solar on a low-income housing project, or the lack of transportation affects people's ability to use or need EV charging stations and things like that. So we really try to give you the skills, hard skills, not just to develop and deploy clean energy, develop clean energy and think about clean energy in low-income communities, in BIPOC communities, and communities in the global south, but also to bring context so that you can innovate in that space as well. So that's really what we try to do. We bring the best faculty from Yale and frankly from around the country and around the world to the table, practitioners, people with real world experience who are thrilled to be able to speak to you one morning and see you go out that afternoon and use it in the field to make change happen. It's really what floats our boat. One of the things that Yale is distinguished actually by not really being in some ways late to the certificate game. The energy work we've done for the last few years is some of Yale's first certificate work because Yale is very preoccupied with quality. The goal is not to make more money for the brand of Yale. The goal for the faculty and for the school more generally is to get our knowledge out and used faster. And it's been really exciting to be, to have that as the primary endpoint, not, hey, we've got a great brand, let's make some money. It's really about getting the knowledge out and getting it to practitioners who can use it in the field but can't travel, to Yale to pick it up or take a lot of time out of their professional lives. So there's a lot of quality control, a lot of support. And then, as Claudia will tell you, a lot of community building. And in that community building, a lot of innovation by people exchanging ideas and skills and sharing with each other. So that's sort of a nutshell, the program in a nutshell. I wanted to just, this slide up here just talks a little bit about other opportunities. Whether you take the course or not, whether you take the certificate or not, we periodically, at least once every 2 semesters, 2 or 3 semesters, offer a Yale Energy Justice class. And we put the first hour of each of those classes online for people to look at, and the lectures are archived. You can go look at some of them now. And we also have an annual Global Environmental Justice Conference. The theme last year and this year is environmental joy, where we focus on the solutions that people bring to the table from environmental justice communities. This year, we're having the conference the weekend after the election. It's November 8th and 9th. And one of the tracks in the conference is, in fact, the IRA and infrastructure deployment and what will happen after the election, how communities will be able to participate or not in the future of American infrastructure. So lots of chances to engage with us, with the Center for Business and Environment at Yale. And we hope you'll stick around and take advantage of those and join the certificate if it fits. I'll pass it over to Coral.
Yeah,
from
sure.
there.
So we also have, I want to bring your attention to our annual Yale Clean Energy Conference. So this is another opportunity for folks who are enrolled in the online programs, the general public, students, faculty. We get together and have a really phenomenal time together in person. And so this year, the conference dates are going to be October 10th and 11th. And, on Friday night, we have a dinner set up for all of the online programs participants. So folks who have taken the CEED program or are currently enrolled in the CEED program, as well as the FDCE program, come and we get together in person and have a nice time together. So that's something that you can check out and get to know us and meet us and other people interested in this field. We also have a private social networking platform that all online participants are enrolled in. And this is just a hub for you to stay connected with others working in clean energy or interested in clean energy at Yale. So this is something that you get access to when you first join the CEED program, and then you'll continue to have access to that for life. So this is a wonderful way to get connected with your cohort as you are in an online program, and then stay connected with us through time. And we advertise all sorts of different events and so on, and you can ask questions of each other and learn from each other, or create meetups. You can advertise when you're going to a conference and say, hey, I'm going to be at the Green Biz conference. Does anybody want to meet up? So that's a fun tool to have. I'll dive into some of the curriculum as Michael was mentioning, and as I threw into the chat. The program begins with some foundational content. We also give you a short course. It's about 3 hours long, a short course in how to succeed online. This isn't, for some of you, it may be your first time engaging in an online learning program. And so we give you all the tools that you need to succeed, help you get familiar with the platform, help you set up a working sort of schedule and time management skills. And then you will go through a self-paced or asynchronous part of the program. This is just 2 weeks where you're working on your own through content. It just gives you essentially the fundamentals in energy. So helping you understand what are the different units we use when we talk about energy, as well as the differences between energy and power. And for some of you, this may be old knowledge. And so we do have a test that you can take, a placement test, where you can opt out of that course requirement. And then we have a foundations in environmental and climate justice. So just kind of helping you get warmed up to the learning and the working online, as well as giving you some of those foundational concepts that'll be really helpful to you as you get into the core courses. So then we have our core courses. The core courses are 5 weeks long each. So we have 5 weeks spent in energy justice. Michael Glockter is one of the lead faculty for that course. So you'll see him or Gerald Torres leading that course. And during those 5 weeks, we're going to help you answer how can we achieve a just and equitable energy transition. I'll have to say we don't have all of the solutions, right? Like we're all still collectively around the world looking to solve a number of very complicated challenges. And so this is an opportunity for us to see how it's currently understood, how the different approaches, our current approaches to energy justice, and then highlight some of the challenges and opportunities that we have available to ourselves. And these are concepts you will work with throughout those 5 weeks and then take with you into the next and final core course of the program, which is on clean energy development. The two lead instructors for that course are Sarah Slusser and Jamie Carlson. They are two phenomenal clean energy developers who, are really leading clean energy development. And so you will go week by week through the development process and also get to understand what are the challenges, the hurdles, the bottlenecks to development. What does the timeline look like through the different elements there? So our focus is on sharing the knowledge that we have here at Yale more broadly, giving you tools, concepts, and sort of understanding of the different levers that you can push and pull to help make change. And then together as a cohort, this is not a one-way flow of knowledge. Together as a cohort, we kind of tackle some of the challenges. You can ask questions. Please bring your experience, your lived experience into the program, and we can kind of figure out what are the next steps available to us to creating and deploying solutions, which may not be perfect right now, but are the best that we can. If we can deploy many imperfect solutions quickly, we can hopefully tackle some of our goals and really push us forward into some real progress. Just overall, generally speaking, we have 2 cohorts of the CEED program every year. So we are about to get started with the fall semester, the fall cohort of CEED. And we have applications open now for the spring program, which will start in January. So right now, if you are applying right now, that means we will hopefully review your application, accept you into the program, and then you would be starting in January with us. And so this is a little closer look at the breakdown of what those 5 weeks in the energy justice course will go over. And then can you advance the slide once more? And you can see the 5 weeks that we spend through the development process. So just introducing what is development overall and getting into how you identify who are actually going to be your customers or off-takers for that energy and the different energy products that you might create out of your project. And then some of the biggest challenges that all developers face, which are the interconnection. And there's a lot of policy changes and reform happening right now in this area. So it's pretty exciting to get to understand that from the folks who are actually engaged in that process. And then getting into just like the importance of community engagement. What does that actually entail? How do you cite a project? And then getting into that construction and operations and management. There's a lot of different sort of approaches to development. Sarah and Jamie both are working at larger scale, mostly solar development that is interconnected to the grid. But we will invite guest speakers to come in and speak a bit more about different types of technology, such as storage or wind. And then we also have some examples of different scales and, development is local. So I do want to caution that if you've never been in development before, this is like your first foray into it. this is going to give you really helpful context to help you identify where you may want to engage with the development process, whether that be as a developer or community engagement, and so on, and just showcase just how complicated it can be, but just how much can get done by a small and powerful team, and then get a sense of the different types of projects, what clean energy can look like in different places around the country and around the globe. In practice, we have targeted this program for working professionals. As we said, you know, these are for people who won't have the time to take out enroll in a full-time degree-bearing program. We really want you to be able to implement this right away. And so working professionals have very little time. We found that about 4 or 5 hours a week is coming up on the limit as far as like what people can commit to a program. We've found great success. So you'll spend that 4 hours looking at about an hour to an hour and a half of pre-recorded lectures that have been divvied up into 10-minute segments. So then follow that up by some engagement activities or assignments, discussion questions. You'll spend about 3 hours a week or up to 3 hours a week working on those assignments or discussion questions, readings, and so on. And then during those core courses of energy justice and the clean energy development course, we will spend an hour together online, live at once on Zoom. And during that time, you'll have the opportunity to hear from your lead instructors, or we will have guest speakers come. Most of the content is designed to be complementary, not a repeat of what is already in the course platform. And then you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and engage with the speakers or the lecturers for that day. And so we'll do that once a week. So who are we looking for? You know, who is this program designed for? Michael touched on it a little earlier, but we're really looking for working professionals who have the opportunity to be able to implement some of what we're sharing in this program right away. But that can look like a number of different things. You don't have to be a developer. You can be an advocate or a community leader that's looking for opportunities to be better equipped to engage in creating job opportunities, assessing projects. Maybe there's a project coming to your community that you want to engage in a more informed way. If you are a policymaker or you're working in policy, looking to help assess or design policy that supports an equitable energy transition. And so we're just really looking ideally for folks who have completed have some educational background, like the bachelor's degree, although we can waive that requirement. We want to be able to see that you can succeed in an academic program. It is a Yale program after all, so there is some competency that we'd like to see there. And you can bring that out in your essays in the application. So the essays, I would say, is advice if you're applying. Focus on those essays, showcase who you are as a person and what is motivating you to engage with this program. That's really going to be quite helpful. And then I think maybe go on to the next slide. Great. So we have other opportunities for you to be able to learn more about the program. So on Wednesday, August 7th, as well as Wednesday, September 4th, we have what we call Ask Me Anything sessions. So as you can see, this session is set up as a webinar. We can't really see everybody in the audience at once. But these Ask Me Anything sessions are Zoom meetings. They're designed to be smaller clusters of folks getting together. And so it's more informal, less structured opportunity to hear from people who have gone through the pilot of this program or are currently enrolled in the CEED program or are staff or faculty. and you can engage. So just come, bring yourself, bring your questions, bring your curiosity, and then we can also get to know you as well. So those are really great. The registration for them is available on our website. And I just want to point out that our applications for spring are open right now, and they will close September 9th. So please be sure to get all your application materials in and hit submit before September 9th. And then again, this would be for the cohort that starts in January. So I noticed that Juan had some questions about the links and our website and so on. So Claudia has shared in the chat a link directly to where you can find more information about the curriculum. And then there was a question about scholarships. So this is a non-degree bearing program. You will receive a certificate of completion from Yale. So, and this is blockchain verified. It looks really great. So we won't be issuing transcripts for one. You will need a 70% or better to pass the program in each course. And so we do have some financial aid. We don't necessarily call them like scholarships, but for a small group of folks, we can give up to 75% tuition assistance. And, you know, ideally, those folks are going to have high financial need, be very well positioned to implement this program, have demonstrated a commitment to this field, and have the potential for continuing to grow their impact. And we see this program as an excellent fit for them and helping them to increase their impact in this arena. So you can keep that in mind when you fill out the scholarship essay. So the application for financial assistance or scholarships is an essay, and that's contained within the within the application itself. And then the average scholarship, so 75% is like for a very small, just a handful of folks. So those are quite competitive. The average assistance, if you do apply, is about $500 to $700 off of the tuition. So I do want to set the expectations right on that. But I just do encourage you, it's free to apply. So please do apply. There's that scholarship essay. Just work on those essays, and then you know, we will get back to you when we send out the decisions. We'll send out those awards as well at the same time. So we're at the stage where we can take questions. So please do feel free to send them into the chat. So Sarah has asked, do we have alumni willing to talk to potential candidates? So there are a couple opportunities. So you can come to those Ask Me Anything events that I mentioned earlier. And then everybody who applies and is accepted into the program, we host an open house. So that is another opportunity to connect with folks because we are such a small team, and also because this is, we're just getting started with the program. We don't have a very large alumni group to pull from. So at this stage, we're going to make those kind of personal connections after with folks who are accepted into the program, just to help us deal with the number of requests for that. But there will be opportunity for you to get to know the program more. So the very next opportunity is really come to those Ask Me Anything events. Anything else? Anna, Diana, Elizabeth, any questions? Okay, admissions are decided, I believe. Let me look that up very quickly. Great, so applications are open now. Deadline is September 9th. And then we will post and share out our decisions by November 1st. So again, just my advice for that is to fill out the application. We're asking for a letter of recommendation. So a great person to have is someone who has worked with you, preferably someone who's in a supervisory role. Another great opportunity is just like your current employer. And why I say that is because it's great for you to start a conversation with your employer now. You can ask them about support for paying the tuition. We do have a sample email or letter that you can use to get that conversation started with your employer. Or if they don't have the development funds to be able to support you, you could talk to them about getting approval to do the live session, that 1 hour session during the work hour, or other accommodations you might have. Folks in the past have been successful in sort of saying that, okay, well, once I've completed the program, I will come back and I'll do a short presentation with my coworkers. So that's been helpful as well. So it's good to get your employer involved in the conversation early. I think it's a win-win for everybody, essentially. Hi, Juan. You're asking about you've graduated from high school, is that correct? And you're currently working. So without more information of your from your application, I won't be able to answer that. It will there, I think for the admissions review committee, they would be most concerned about ensuring that one, you're in the position to be able to implement the program. So that'll really depend on kind of what your role is at the UN or what your plans are for the near future. And then the other element there would be how much of like the understanding of energy or climate or environment or justice have you done in your coursework in high school or on the job? I think those would be the two primary considerations that we would be looking at when evaluating if the program's right for you when we're looking at your application materials. So it's not an immediate disqualification, I would say.
I am going to have to jump off, but I really thanks everybody. I really look forward to just having you in the course and working with you, and you know I'll be on some of the Ask Me Anythings and stuff like that. So spread the word. Look forward to working with you. Take care. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks, Coral.
Hi, Michael.
Coral, we have a question from Sarah in the
Yeah,
chat.
and Diana has also raised their hand. So I'm going to go ahead and ask them to unmute if they would like to speak. And then we'll get to Sarah. Oh, okay. No problem, Diana. We'll have now Anna. Go ahead, Anna. Oh, it looks like we might be having technical difficulties. We can't hear you, Anna. Okay. So in the curriculum, do you touch on the concept of 24/7 carbon free? So I am not exactly certain what is the the sort of like best answer for that. I I would say that's probably not a core component of the curriculum, in that you can think about how we have 5 weeks in each course to talk about energy justice, as well as just 5 weeks to get into all of the stages of clean energy development. And there's a lot, right? There's a lot going on, not just in the US, but globally. And so our goal is to focus on, for the core content or the core curriculum of the program, to focus on the really like critical elements and levers for engagement that need to be out there, those like skills and perspectives that we need to share that are going to be particularly important to folks right now. And then our goal is to share optional resources, hold discussion sessions, invite you to optional virtual activities. And, for example, the Energy Justice Speaker Series or others. We also hold office hours where you all can get online together and chat. And it's through these various means that our conversation will go more broadly into different elements. So we could be talking about the latest innovations in particular technologies, or we could be talking about loss and damages, or, different elements like 24/7 carbon free, and helping to answer questions that people may have, to clarify some of those conversations and what the dialogue is there and how that's really working under the hood, what that looks like, as well as inviting folks like you, Sarah, to contribute sort of like, what are you working on currently? What are you looking for? Or what is your organization looking for, so that we can help match up people in the community to be like more empowered and connected to one another, to help us like kind of just raise our ability to, be high impact.
Hello, can you hear me
There
now?
we go. Yes.
Yay! I had to call in. Thank you for the presentation, Nicole. It was great. My name is Anna. I have a really quick question about the curriculum. I saw there's a break there for like a 7-day break. Is that like we would not be able to do class? Is that like an actual break to no homework? I was just wondering.
Yeah, what happens during the break? So yes,
Yeah.
so for everybody's benefit, we will have, as I mentioned, we have the foundational course, we get started, we have orientation and all of that. Then you get into the core course, our first core course in energy justice, 5 weeks long. And then there's a 1 week break before we get started in the clean energy development course. So during that break, that 1 week, our teaching team is grading all of the stuff that you have turned in from the energy justice course. So there's that, and we're getting prepared to launch and deliver the second course. During that time, we will not have that required live session, but people are around. It's not like our offices are closed and we're on spring break or something. We're around. So, if you continue to have questions, we'll still share resources with you all, but there's no required work to be done by you all during that week.
Amazing. Thank you. I worded that so awfully.
No, you're great.
And I have another quick question. Are we supposed to do like a capstone sort of thing at the end, or like an essay? Like is there a big project at the end, or like a final exam?
So rather than push all the work to the end, we've designed a sort of longer assignment that you will work on throughout both the energy justice course and the development course. So we'll explain that at the start of the program. In fact, like we're still sort of tying up some of the loose ends and details on what that assignment actually looks like with the faculty. But what you'll be able to do is week by week, depending on the topic of the program, you will be asked certain questions about whatever project it is that you have in mind, and what do these concepts of the week have to do with your project, and how can you answer that about your project. So through time, you may be coming into this program with a very specific location, technology, or project that you're actually working on at work or ready to sort of evaluate. And others will just come in to learn, and they may not have those specifics. So we're working to kind of address helping people decide what projects they want to focus on for the 10 weeks of those 2 core courses. And then you will just keep coming back to that when we each topic, where is its location? What is the cost of energy in that area? What is your community that you will be engaging with? What does that look like? What are their needs? That sort of thing. So rather than a capstone, it's just an ongoing project, a series of questions that you can pull together for that.
Great, amazing. Thank you for that. And to that, could we potentially tie in the work that we do at our employment right now with the project? I work with local communities, local governments. Would that be a possibility, or would we have to like pick something from scratch?
Right. So in an ideal world, we want everybody to pick something that's very specific and real that they're actually working on. When it comes to actually executing, being able to provide feedback that makes sense, that we find the right expertise at Yale or in our network to be able to give you feedback on those projects, that's where the complication comes in, because projects could be anywhere in the world, be very specific, and we may not be able to support every project idea out there. So we're still problem solving for that, honestly, Anna, to finding ways to be able to open the door enough so that if you come with something specific you want to work on, that we can support that as best as we can.
Sure.
We're also making it like a manageable and useful exercise for people. Cool. So that would be our goal, is to make it as useful as possible.
Amazing. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Okay, great.
Coral, would you like to share some about our participants for cohort 0?
Sure. So first, so this is a new program. And in January of this year, so at the start of this year, we invited about 20 people that have already taken one of our online programs, our Financing and Deploying Clean Energy program, and invited them to pilot test or help us test this new curriculum and program design. And they went through that pilot, and we call them cohort 0. They went through that pilot with us this spring semester. We just wrapped up with them in June. And then we are going to be admitting our first official public open cohort of CEED participants September 2nd. And so, you know, we have a few people that we could highlight as an example of a kind of typical or classic participant, but I do want to phrase that as, or give you that context that if you don't see yourself reflected in this profile, that doesn't mean this program is not for you or that we don't want you here. It's just we still, you know, early stages. So as we build up our community, we look forward to having more diverse stories and faces and so on represented in these spotlights. Luis is, he joined the FDCE program when he was the director for sustainability for the city of Ithaca and helped them through the FDCE program and the feedback he got from his cohort members propose and then launch the city's plan for 100% electrification. And then he is now working at NYSERDA, and he's designing these very similar programs to help low LMI, low and moderate income families electrify their homes. And so I think for him, the program, the CEED program is particularly helpful in getting to really understand the fundamentals of environmental, climate, and energy justice and help him question and kind of assess his programs if they're hitting all of the different elements of justice, like procedural justice and so on. So I think he got quite a bit out of the energy justice course in his efforts. We also have a number of Green Bank participants in both programs. Our network in the Green Bank arena is pretty big. And so I think this is an important relationship to have and folks to have in your network. Green banks are really mechanisms for drawing in and leveraging public funds, which can be limited, and using those public funds to draw in the interest of private funds and then help then deploy those funds via different kinds of programs, like create financial products that will help support not just energy projects, but mostly energy projects, as well as other sort of sustainability projects as well. And so Sarah Pine, again, was in our FDCE program and continues to work at the Connecticut Green Bank, was a part of our cohort 0 or pilot cohort. And really you can see as the Green Bank is designed to help leverage funds towards really projects that could potentially be otherwise not financeable, right? Projects that are hard to evaluate for credit, and traditional types of finance generally go to green banks for support, financial support, as well as educational support and building capacity. And so the CEED program helped Sarah and her colleagues be able to do that kind of work better, to be able to assess people who applied for funds from green banks and help them also design financial products and programs to support communities that need it. And then another somewhat typical profile is somebody who's working in the federal government. So as you saw with Louise, when he was in FDCE, he was working at the city level, but we have folks at every level of government. And he is, as you know, like the federal government is in charge of distributing a ton of money, and they're designing a ton of different programs. And so Brad was really looking to help his, you know, working with the FAA, working to sort of design and evaluate and just ensure that the programs that they're creating, you know, advance our just energy transition. So I just wanted to point out that we have folks from, you know, all three of these spotlights were from the United States, and most of our cohort tends to be from within the United States. But we do have an international cohort every year. There's a number of folks from, the European Union, Africa, Asia, South America, really all over the world. So in the CEED cohort, we just sent out decision letters today to them for the fall, and we have 17 different countries represented in that cohort. So I'm hoping to continue to see, a lot of diversity in where people are from and what roles they play in the incoming cohorts of CEED as well. So as someone who values everybody's time and how busy we all are, I don't mind closing the session a little early. So unless anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand or throw them in the chat. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure to share the CEED program with you all. I do hope that you will apply. And if you do have questions that were unanswered, have a hard time finding something on the website, you can reach out to us at the seed.certificate@yale.edu email address, or you can reach out to our program administrator, the person who manages the application if you're having a problem with the application form, at the cbay.admissions@yale.edu, and we'll throw those email addresses into the chat. Those are our two primary contacts for this program. Thank you.